It's 21:14 on a Tuesday in January, and there is a jacket in your basket that costs $180. You have been looking at it for 2 weeks. You have $1,040 in your account, and rent comes out on the 1st, and you have already decided you're not buying it. And then the checkout page offers you something else. Not $180, 4 payments of $45. And here's the thing, that isn't a trick. $45 is genuinely affordable. It's less than you spend on a takeaway. There's no interest, no fee, no catch printed anywhere on the screen. You click it, you get the jacket, $45 leaves your account, and nothing bad happens at all. Nothing bad happens for the next 9 months. That's not the trap. That's the bait, and the bait is completely honest. Let's get the boring part out of the way because you need it for everything that follows. You're 29, you earn $3,200 a month after tax. Rent is $980, utilities $150, food $420, transport $210, phone $60, insurance $130. That's $1,950. You have about $1,250 a month of actual flexible money, which is not a lot and is not nothing, and you are not reckless. That matters. Everything that happens in this story happens to somebody who is careful. February, the jacket payments are running. 45 on the 8th, 45 on the 22nd, and then it'll be done. And your headphones die. Properly die. The kind where one side goes and you spend a week pretending you don't mind. $96 or 4 payments of $24. And you do the maths, because you always do the maths. $24 a fortnight on top of $45 a fortnight is $69 a fortnight. You have $1,250 of flexible money. $69 is nothing. Click. Now hold that moment, because that's the exact instant this whole story turns, and it looks like nothing at all. Here's what you just did that you don't know you did. You compared a new payment against your whole flexible budget, $69 versus $1,250. That comparison will be true and reassuring every single time you make it. It'll be true at the 4th plan and the 6th. Because you never compare the new payment against the stack, you compare it against your income, and your income always looks big enough. March, your sister's birthday, and a gift you actually want to give rather than something apologetic. $140, 4 payments of $35, and there's a second thing happening now, quieter than the first. The jacket payments finished in February. So when you look at your account in early March, you see a normal-looking month, and the plan you're about to start doesn't feel like it's being added to anything. There's room. There was room because something ended, and now something new fills it, and the room never comes back. That's the mechanic. Not debt exactly. Occupancy. The 4-payment structure means every plan is always about to end, which means there is always, permanently, a sense that space is opening up. April. A pair of shoes, $60, 4 payments of $15. $15. You barely register it. It is genuinely difficult to feel bad about $15. May is when the shape of it changes, and you don't notice because nothing goes wrong in May. Your car needs 2 new tires, $280. And the tire place offers the same thing, 4 payments of $70. And this one is different, though it doesn't feel it. The jacket was a want. The headphones, arguably. The tires are not optional, you needed tires. And what's just happened is that the payment structure has moved from things you chose into things you can't avoid. And once that door is open, it doesn't close, because life produces unavoidable expenses at a fairly steady rate. By the end of May, you have 3 plans running at once, 35, 15, and 70, on staggered dates that have no relationship to each other whatsoever. One comes out on the 3rd, one on the 11th, one on the 19th and the 2nd of the following month. And this is the part I want to be really precise about, because it's the actual answer to why this is different from a credit card. A credit card gives you one bill on one date with one number on it. You can hate that number. You can look at it and feel the appropriate amount of alarm. It is legible. 4 separate plans on staggered fortnightly cycles produce 8 or 9 small withdrawals a month that never appear together anywhere. There is no screen you can open that shows you the total. Not on your banking app, not on any one provider's app, because they're different providers. The number that would frighten you doesn't exist in any single place, and a number that doesn't exist can't frighten you. June. You get a small tax refund, $310, and you feel briefly wealthy in exactly the way people do, and you buy a coffee machine. $220, 4 payments of $55. You could have paid cash. You literally had the refund sitting there, And you didn't, because splitting it felt like the smart move. Keep the cash, spread the cost. That's what a careful person does. The refund is gone by the end of the month anyway. It went on ordinary things, the way refunds do. But the coffee machine payments are still running. July is when you meet the second cost, and it's the one that isn't in any of the marketing. You return something, a pair of trousers that didn't fit, $65, bought on a plan. And the return takes 11 days to process at the retailer, and the payment plan does not care. Payment 2 comes out on schedule while the trousers are in a postal depot somewhere. You are, for 11 days, making installment payments on an item you do not own and are not going to own. It resolves eventually. Everyone is polite. But you spend 40 minutes of your life on it, and it introduces you to a feeling you'll have several more times this year, which is, I don't actually know who to call about this. August. And in August you make the first genuine mistake, and it is a completely ordinary one. You change your bank card. The old one expires. You update it on the 2 apps you can think of and you miss one, because you have. And this is the honest number. 5 plans running, and you cannot name all 5 without looking. A payment bounces on the 14th. Your bank charges you a failed payment fee of $35. The provider charges a late fee of $42. For a thing that was never a shortage of money. You had money. It was a shortage of tracking, and somewhere in a system you can't see, that missed payment gets reported, not dramatically. But some of these providers report to credit bureaus now, and the ones that do report late payments as late payments. You won't find out about that for a while. September. And September is quiet, which is the most dangerous kind of month, because in September, the accumulated pattern is fully formed and completely invisible. Here's what your September actually looks like, and you have never once written it down like this. Jacket, finished. Headphones, finished. Sister's gift, finished. Shoes, finished. Tires, 1 payment left. Coffee machine, 2 payments left. Trousers, resolved. Plus, since June, a phone case at $9 a fortnight. A jumper at $22. A set of pans at $40. A birthday present for a colleague at $18. And a bag you bought in a bad week in August for $52. 7 active plans. Total leaving your account this month, $612. $612 a month of committed, fixed, non-negotiable outgoing on top of your rent and your bills. And you have never, at any point, decided to spend $612 a month on anything. There was no moment where you agreed to that. There were only 12 separate moments where you agreed to something small. And it's worth understanding why nobody stops you, because it isn't malice. These companies mostly don't make their money from you at all. They make it from the retailer, who pays them a percentage of the sale, a meaningfully larger percentage than a card would cost, because splitting the price reliably increases how much people spend and how often they check out. That's the entire business, which means the incentive isn't to trap you in interest. It's to make clicking as easy and as frequent as possible, forever, and to never ever show you a running total across providers, because a running total is the only thing that would make you click less. Nobody is doing anything to you. The system just has no reason at all to build the one screen that would help. October the 1st. And this is where the year finally sends you the bill. Rent goes out at 9:10 in the morning, $980, and at 09:11 you get a notification you have never had in your adult life, and it says your payment could not be processed. You are $340 short. On rent, on a salary you have had all year, in a month where nothing unusual happened, having bought nothing in September that you would describe to another person as extravagant. And you sit on the edge of your bed and you open your banking app and you scroll, and this is the moment the whole thing becomes visible. Not as a total, because there still isn't a total, but as a pattern. 55 here, 40 there, 22, 18, 9, 70, 52. Little gray lines, none of them alarming, going back and back and back through the year. And you scroll for a long time, and the feeling that arrives isn't panic. It's something much worse and much quieter, which is the realization that you have been running a second rent payment for months, and you did not know. That's the trap. It was never the interest. There wasn't any. It was never one bad decision. There wasn't one. It's that the structure converts a series of individually trivial choices into a large, fixed monthly obligation that never appears in one place. And by the time it's big enough to hurt, it's made of 12 things you've mostly forgotten buying. Now, Here is what you actually do, starting on the edge of that bed, because this is genuinely fixable and it takes about a month. Step 1, and it happens tonight. You build the number that doesn't exist. Open your bank statement, go back 4 months, and write down every single installment payment you find. Provider, amount, date, and how many payments are left. Not from the apps, from the bank statement, because the bank statement is the only place all of them appear. It takes about 90 minutes, and it is deeply unpleasant, and it is the entire fix. Everything after this is easy. The reason this trap works is that the total is invisible, and the moment you write it down, it stops being invisible, and it never becomes invisible again. Your number was 612. Write yours on a piece of paper. Put it on the fridge. Step 2, freeze. Not forever, for 90 days. No new plans of any kind while the existing ones run out. That's it. Because here's the thing about 4 payment structures that finally works in your favor. They end. Every single one of them ends, and quite quickly. If you start nothing new, your 612 becomes about 380 within 6 weeks and near 0 within 3 months, entirely on its own. You don't have to pay anything off early. You just have to stop feeding it. Step 3, and this is the one that stops it coming back. Change the question you ask at the checkout. The question the checkout wants you to ask is, can I afford $45? The answer is always yes, and it will always be yes. And that is precisely why it's the wrong question. The question that actually protects you is, what is my total installment number right now? And what will it be if I click this? That's it. That's the whole discipline. Not, can I afford this payment? But, what does my stack become? 612 plus 45 is 657. And 657 is a number you would never agree to if someone asked you for it directly. And a smaller rule that catches most of the rest. If the thing costs less than about $100, don't split it. Ever. The plan management overhead, the tracking, the card updates, the failed payment risk is genuinely not worth it for a $15 fortnightly payment on a pair of shoes. Those small ones aren't the ones that hurt your budget. They're the ones that make the stack impossible to hold in your head, and an unholdable stack is the actual mechanism of the whole thing. One more, and it's about the card. Keep every installment plan on one card, and set a reminder in your phone for the day that card expires. Almost every failed payment fee in this story came from a card change, not from a lack of money. $35 for an admin failure. That's the cheapest problem in this video to fix and the one most likely to actually happen to you. Here's where you land, and I want to be honest about it, because this isn't a redemption story with a big number at the end. You cover the rent. You borrow $200 from your mother, which is a conversation you did not enjoy, and you move some things around, and by the middle of October it's handled. By December, your installment total is $40, and by January it's 0, and the only thing that actually changed is that you stopped clicking a button. You're not richer. Your salary is identical. Nothing in your life looks different from the outside. And if someone asked what you did this year, you would struggle to describe it. What changed is that there is a number on your fridge, and once a month you look at it, and it is the only defense that has ever worked against a system designed so that no single decision inside it ever feels like a decision. And that's really the whole point of this one. These services aren't a scam. They're not predatory in the way a payday loan is predatory. Used for one thing at a time, deliberately, with a note of when it ends, they are genuinely a useful tool and cost you nothing. The danger was never any individual plan. It was that 4 payments of 45 feels like a completely different species of thing to one payment of 180, when it is exactly the same amount of your money, and that your brain will accept that swap cheerfully 12 times in a row, in a year in which you never once did anything wrong.